In this video, I'm going to discuss the only 4 things you need to worry about if you are a beginner with email marketing. Okay, so if you are, let's say you have a new business, or maybe you've had a business for a while, but you're new to email marketing and this is the first time you're getting started with your business doing email marketing. Whatever the case is, if you're a beginner, there's really only 4 things you need to worry about. And I find that people tend to get overwhelmed and distracted by a bunch of things that just really don't matter, instead of focusing on the fundamentals and the things that are actually going to get you not only the most immediate results, but get you the best results over time. So the first thing, and this is going to be what you need to prioritize as soon as possible, is building your email list. So what that really means is that means you need steady traffic coming to your site, because you need 2 things to build your email list. You need an offer, something that compels them to opt in, and then you need some sort of traffic source to, or at least you just need to be able to get eyeballs on that offer one way or another. So whether that means you're getting people to opt in directly through social media, or they're opting in after they arrive on your site, whatever the case is, for most businesses, you're probably going to be sending traffic to your site, and then once they get to your site, they're going to be able to opt in. So what that really means is that, creating the initial offer is easy. So let's say if you're an e-commerce business, all you need to do is offer some sort of coupon, some sort of discount off their first purchase. You can provide some sort of quiz that they can take that gets them to opt in, where they, to get the results, they have to sign or, give you their email address. If it's a service business, then anytime someone is requesting information, maybe you give them some more resources that help them make a buying decision. Maybe they sign up for a sales call, whatever the case is, you need to have some way that people can opt in. But that part is usually pretty easy to solve. And then from there, the ongoing thing is, again, just having steady traffic, having 1 or more traffic sources that you can count on a regular basis. So if you're starting from scratch, this is going to depend on the resources you have, of course, and your skills and all of that. But for most businesses right now, the most immediate opportunities are going to be with short form video content. So using the platforms like TikTok, Facebook and Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts, those are going to be the things that allow you to get the most attention in the shortest amount of time. Basically that will give you the most upside for your effort if you do that. And the thing is, you don't need any fancy equipment to get started. All you need is a smartphone with a nice camera, and that's all you really need. But if, let's just say, for example, if your skills lean more towards networking, then you might want to do a lot of in-person events and start generating traffic for your business that way, either by engaging in one-on-one conversations and selling directly there, or getting people to go to your site to make a purchase. But again, that's very difficult to scale, and that's really only going to be for people who, if that's a very strong skill set they have, and they have access to big groups, and maybe they do public speaking, and maybe they can scale that up to where they're communicating to a bunch of people at once. But again, that person probably does well on video. So another area where people have a strong skill set that helps you get traffic would be with copywriting. So you could focus more on writing as opposed to, imagery and videos and all of that. So that would mean you're writing, that's where Twitter would be a great place for you, writing out Facebook posts, blogging, either blogging on your own site and taking the angle of trying to generate traffic through SEO, or guest blogging on other established sites that already have steady traffic and getting that traffic to your site. But whatever it is, you've got to figure out how to get a steady traffic source to your site so you can start building your list sooner rather than later. Because without that list, you have no one to email. So that's step number 1, is you've got to start building your list, and that's just an ongoing thing, and you never stop doing that. The next thing, this is where you actually get started doing some real email marketing, is to optimize your sales process. And I have videos on this. You can check them out on the YouTube channel. But really what this means is looking at the step-by-step process that someone takes to go from being a stranger to being a customer. And that's going to be broken down usually on, through a process they take on your website. So if it's an e-commerce business, they show up to the site, they end up on a product page, they add that product to cart, they initiate the checkout, they complete the checkout, right? right? Those are all the steps. And the cool thing is with the email service provider like Klaviyo, let's say you're using Shopify or WooCommerce, you can have automatic email follow-up set up for every single step in your sales process. So no matter where the person stops moving forward, you can have automations in place that nudge them along and get them to go complete the sales process. So other types of businesses, let's say you're a service business, it might not be quite as straightforward. Maybe someone shows up to your site, they opt in to get more information, or they book a call, and then you have to do a call with them, maybe give them a proposal. So there's going to be some manual steps involved, and in a business like that, you can still automate a lot of the follow-up. Depending on if you have a very straightforward sales process, you could have it be completely automated, or if it requires more manual touch, you can have it set up with your CRM where when the sales rep moves them along to the different stages of the sales process, it kicks off some of those automations that you already have pre-built. So that is going to be where you get the most initial traction with your email marketing, because you're actively engaged with people who are already shopping right now and they're already in the process of buying. So that's where you're going to be able to get the most sales right away. So, and then once you have that stuff built out, it's very easy to maintain and it will work for you around the clock going forward. So again, just to recap really quickly, step 1, you're building your list. Step 2, you've optimized your sales process. Step 3 is now to start doing ongoing email marketing. And this is where people really get hung up, because they really just overthink it. They just don't know what to send. So I would say once you get about 100 subscribers on your list, at that point, assuming that you have a decent average order value and that there's some potential to actually generate sales from that list, that's when you can start going ahead and sending out a regular email. So this could just be a once per week email. And to help you plan this out, I really recommend creating a campaign calendar for each month. So that way, if you have it set up, or if your process is really that you are going to send out a weekly email, and then you just sit down and do the email and write it all out and design it and everything all at once, right whenever you're planning on sending it, that's not a very predictable process, because some days you're going to be more creative than others, and some days things will come up that will get in the way, and you'll end up pushing it back, and then you push it back one day, then 2 days. Next thing you know, you just skip this week and you start sending. You think you're going to pick up again next week. It never works. So what's better is to plan in advance. So sit down and set aside some time to be creative, to come up with a full month worth of emails. In this case, we're only talking about 4 emails, right? And again, I've got videos on how to come up with these different email topics. So there's no shortage of topics for you to come up with. This doesn't have to be complicated. You're not trying to, one email is not going to make or break your business, so you don't have to put all this pressure on yourself that every email has to be perfect. The most important thing is that as long as you are speaking directly to your ideal customers and you understand them, and the messaging is crafted in a way that it shows that you actually understand and care about them, if you communicate with them regularly, so just having this once a week email, it's not so much what happens from one email that's going to drive your results, it's what happens over time, because it's by them getting more and more familiar with you and starting to build up that trust in you and your brand, because you are communicating to them regularly and because the message is consistent with the things they care about. That's what's going to drive your results. So that's why you want to get started on that sooner rather than later. And as your list grows, you can get to where you're emailing more frequently, but you don't really need to worry about that for a while. So I would say just stick to that once per week email cadence, and that will last you until you've got thousands of subscribers. And then you might want to look into increasing the frequency and maybe doing some segmentation and all of that. So finally, the fourth thing to do as a beginner with email marketing, one of the things that's probably the thing that gets skipped the most is starting to track your results. So even though you don't have as much traction, you don't have as big of a list, you probably aren't getting, engagement is probably good, but you might not be getting as many sales as you would like early on. You want to start tracking your results from the beginning so you can look for trends and identify which things are working and which things aren't. And then each month, as you go and you plan out those campaign calendars for the month, and you look back on what worked the month prior, and you look back on what worked the month prior to that, you have a good idea idea of which offers people liked better than others, which marketing angle people responded to better, and you can continue to take the things that work and keep those in constant rotation, and then maybe test something new once or twice a month, and you continue to do this and until you get to a point where you've got so many different winning angles and winning offers that you can rely on, where you can send those things out on a regular basis, but you're not repeating them and you're not sending the same thing every week. So, and you're only going to find out this stuff if you're actually paying attention, if you're actually looking in the analytics, and at least looking at a monthly snapshot level of what's going on with your email marketing. So again, to recap, the only 4 things that you need to worry about or even be doing at all when it comes to email marketing as a beginner is 1, building your list. So that means getting some sort of offer in place where people can opt in, and then just working on getting that steady traffic to your site. Optimizing your sales process. Usually once you do that one time, it's just something where it requires just a tiny bit of maintenance on an ongoing basis. It doesn't really take much work on an ongoing basis. It's something where you do the work up front and it continues to pay for itself over and over. Then once you get to 100 subscribers or so, you can start sending 1 email per week as your campaigns. And then finally, the 4th thing is start tracking your results now. So if you are a beginner and you're just getting started, please go through the videos on my channel, because everything that you need to be doing now, but also the things that you can anticipate that you will need to do in the next year or so, I've got tutorials on all of it. So everything when it comes to optimizing your sales process, planning out campaign calendars, coming up with email content based around your ideal customers, crafting the messaging for your emails and coming up with that strategy, using brand storytelling. So everything is here. I want to have these resources available to you to help you out. So even if you're not in a position to hire my team to manage your emails, you can at least start to do this yourself and get results. And then maybe later when the time comes, you might want to hire us, or you at least will hopefully keep us in mind if you know someone else who needs our services. So that's it for this video. Best of luck to you. I think you're going to find that this is by far the most effective, or at least one of the most effective sales channels for any business. And it's definitely worthwhile to get started sooner rather than later.